Hi, Samantha. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. Can you hear me is the better question.
Yes, I can now. How are you doing?
Okay. Doing well. I'm trying to get all this jazz stuff set up.
Yeah,
just trying to get all the equipment set up, but I'm doing well. How are you?
good, pretty good. Let's see. We are live in the Facebook group now.
All right.
Shall we do introductions and then I'll hand it over to you?
We certainly can.
Awesome.
Hopefully we get some, hopefully if you've got any questions, if nobody else is hops in live on the Zoom call, I'll be looking for lots of feedback from you.
Yeah, for sure. And usually people catch it on the Facebook live in the group anyway. So
Yes.
as it streams.
Other question, do I look okay? Like, does my feed
Yeah.
look okay?
Oh yeah,
All
it
right.
looks great. Yeah, and definitely
And
can see. Um, let's see the
does that
SQ.
look okay?
Yes.
All right. Cool
Perfect.
beans.
Yay. Well, Samantha Potter, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure.
You are the Install Empress at Allen and Heath, editorial director at Pro Sound Web. You have shown us the Avantis or the Avantis.
Everybody says it a little bit differently. So either Avantis or Avantis. Yeah.
All right, cool. I like Avantis sounds more mysterious.
Fancy.
So you'll say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are an author, editor, and engineer, and you are going to introduce us today to the SQ series.
Absolutely. Yes. We're going to be walking through this. I'm going to pretty much we're just going to attack this thing like if I was just walking up to it, basically, and we'll see what we can do with that. So
Awesome.
let me make sure my mic is not in the way. It is not. So, okay. So yes, thank you very much for the introduction. It's good to be back. We should do another Avantis one soon because we got some updates and stuff with all the cameras and getting set up. Today will probably just be SQ, but that's just another reason for me to come back. So
definitely. And I think we're super excited for live sound to come back,
yeah, well. It's like starting. Yeah. It's starting. A lot of my friends and colleagues, gigs are starting to show up, and it's good stuff.
Here and there. And I did want to say too, your Avantis walkthrough also has the most views on our YouTube channel. So just pretty cool.
No big deal.
Right.
No big deal.
It's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. Okay, very cool. So yeah, I figure we'll kind of start with we got to get tracks into it because we can do kind of a virtual sound check, and that's a really key, amazing factor about digital consoles. So let's hop over there, and I have some multi-tracks which you can download from places like Telefunken, or if you are at a venue or a club or a house of worship that has a digital board that you can easily record from, I always recommend just recording rehearsal or service or a show and keeping that so that you'll always have something to practice on. I mean, the last year, there haven't been many live gigs. And so I've been trying to keep my skills sharp by using multi-tracks, by going and getting them from Telefunken or from my vault of stuff, and sort of using them to practice on this console, on other consoles, and making sure I'm not losing everything along the way. Nice. So I will swing over here. I've got that. There we go. So I've got Tracks Live, which is if you have, I'm running Catalina. And so far, this still works. I got to move my mic a little bit while I do this. But I've got Tracks Live going. I also have SQ Mixpad running. So depending on what I'm doing, I may swap between looking at the console itself and basically looking at this giant version of it. That way, if you can't see the screen too well, I can just pop over here. Alrighty, so this is a freshly reformatted hard drive. So I have no sessions on this. So we'll do a new session. And let's see. What shall we pick? Okay, let's do, I think this is a really great, yeah, this is good. So this is West End Blend, and the song is called Cane Guru. I did a quick mix with this once and it was great. Okay, so let's do Cane Guru. And I don't want it in my music file. Where do I want it? Let's do a new folder. Multi-tracks. Yeah, I'm telling you guys are following me through the very beginnings. So we'll save
This
it.
is perfect.
And this is my hard drive I've got connected over here. So this pops up. You can also use like Reaper or pretty much any DAW, I think. And this would work just fine. I'm just a big fan of Tracks Live because it's super easy and really low processing power. So let's make sure let's import these bad boys. Import. And I'm going to go to this. Let's do audio multitracks. Select all of them. Whoops. Select, open. And session start, 1 track per file, best quality. There we go. Ooh, actually, you know what? Let's cancel that. I need to make sure that this is, I'm gonna swap this this out really quick. I'm gonna disconnect my SQ. And I'm going to, where are you hiding at? There you are. See, what you're not seeing is my like cable explosion.
Yeah.
All right, plug this in. Okay. I need to make sure it sees my SQ so that it will be 96K. Yes. Perfect. And I'll even show you how to do that over here on the console. All right, switch back to over here and I will pip me. Okay, so let's go to setup, USB. It's at 96. Awesome. This lets me change the USB audio. It's just a USB-B on the back of the console, and then I just have that running to my laptop. And we let you switch it between running 48 or 96, depending. I usually switch it depending on what my tracks are already at. And the console itself is FPGA technology running all of this processing simultaneously. And I want it to run at 96 because it can. And there are many reasons why we should, which I may or may not get into this evening. But 96K, hands down, amazing way to do this. So that's at 96, confirmed. And I will take this off, switch back over here, take my mic with me. I need like one gigantic broadcast arm that reaches like 10 feet so I can just like swivel around all over the place. Okay, so that's fine. And now I will import again. I will hit open. Whoopsies. And it's changing it from 48 to 96. Oh, you know what? That may take too long. I'm going to go even faster because I can so easily change this to 48. Apply. Cut back over here. It removed my audio device. That's okay. That's good to go. One track. Yep, that's fine. All right. Now it'll be super fast. But that's also another thing I like about Tracks Live is that it will relatively quickly compared to most programs change the sample rate of the files you're uploading either to 44.1 or 48 or 96, however you need it. And I mean, there's just nothing to not love about this. They stopped updating it. So it's kind of, it will slowly disappear more and more, but you know, if you've got Catalina and under, basically, you should go get this.
I am not going to update to Big Sur, I don't think. I've heard.
Oh yeah, I have no
things.
intention to do that anywhere in the near future. So, okay, gonna kind of squeeze this down so I can see the whole song. There we go. And obviously we've got all of these labeled, and to make my life easier, I'm gonna kind of arrange them. And let me see if I can make this bigger. Maybe a little bit more readable for you. I'm going to put these in an order that I like, just so that I can basically do a one-to-one patch digitally in my console. So if this is all in the order I want, then I won't have to do any fancy things on the console, all in the name of making it easier for myself. Okay, I like drums first. So there's 2 kicks, kick in, kick out. Let's do this. Kick in, kick out, and then we got to do, I like snare, and there's a snare top and a snare bottom. So we will scooch those up. This little hair smaller. There we go. All right, kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom. There's a hat. Let's see, drums over close. Man, we're getting like, you're a drummer, so you're gonna love this. Got a lot of drums. Got drums close. Yeah,
looking at these.
Got 2 basses. That's fine. Drums over. Let's get these scooched. Let's get all of these drums kind of together here. Bass, electric guitar. Okay. In, out, top, bottom, hat. Drums, floor. I feel like I should have toms hidden here someplace then. Nope, okay.
Yeah, it's only the floor? That's interesting.
Yeah, this is definitely like a funkier kit, so I don't think they
Gotcha.
mic'd it. Okay, so oh no, there's a rack. There's a rack right here.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, hat, tom, floor, over close, over far, room, bass, guitar. We got 3 horns, keys, Leslie, keys top. Let's see here. Let me do this. The way the SQ functions, and really kind of all of Allen Heath stuff, is that it's odd even pairing. So if I wanted to make something a stereo channel, I need to have it land on an odd number. Otherwise, I can do things like ganging, but we will get into that in a second.
Cool.
Okay. Otherwise, that looks good. So I can basically just hit loop, take this whole thing. So it repeats either a specific section or the whole song. That should be good. So now I can save it. Always save, you guys. Command S, multi-out, save. All right. Now I am going to quit this and eject my hard drive for USB purposes and plug back in my network here. This is all part of the process. I know this is far from the most thrilling part, but some people have never set up multi-tracks, and this is like
it's super helpful.
All right, plug my network back in. And we will go open up tracks. Connect back there. Open up Cane Guru. You can see I've got a user named Jim Bob on here. I was doing something. All right, there we go. Multi-out. Seize my SQ. Repeat. Alrighty, so that will hang out there. We will go back to, I'll make you guys look at me for a second. Okay, so we've got the tracks running and I've got them going into my console, but we don't actually have anything in our console just yet. So if I go back over here and I'll pip myself. So now you should be able to see me and the console at the same time, right?
Yep.
Okay, so our meters are actually these very fancy LEDs that actually will change colors. It's not like kind of the more traditional meters where there's like a row of them. These will actually just change color. They're called chromatic meters. So I can see there's nothing lighting up. So that means we don't have any signal. So to start, I have to go to my IO tab and I will go my inputs and I'm connected over USB. And so I will click patch there. I should be able to pop up. There we go. Oh yeah, now you can see all these kind of lighting up. Forget how many channels I have on here. Other key little bits here is is this my computer? That's me. There we go. If I flop over here, I'll kind of show you so it's easier to see. I have many different layers. Maybe it would be easiest to show you over here. Down just off screen here where my hand is. I have layers A through F. And so I can click through here and you can kind of see the faders changing. Maybe you'll be able to hear them too. You can see all these things lighting up and I'm just going to go to the next page. So these are inputs 1 through 16. Then I'm going to go to my second layer. I've got this one patched. I forget how many channels are on this. So I'll just keep going until I stop seeing things light up. Over USB, we can do a maximum of 32. It looks like we've got 26. We'll keep those patched. Okay, so now I've got all these inputs and I may need to, start naming them. So let's say we go over. So we've got, let me go kind of bring you guys to the home page. When you first turn on the SQ, this is kind of its little home screen. You can shut down from here. That's where the safe shutdown is. Always shut down properly. I can change users. I can adjust brightness from the screen easily. Also, I'm currently logged in as an admin, which again is defaulted. And essentially, if I just start clicking on a select button, which are these green buttons, it will take me to the kind of channel strips, if you look at them. And so I'm getting kind of a little, like a bird's eye view of all of the channels. I can see the preamps. I can see if I've got high pass filters engaged, if my gate is on, any inserts, my parametric, my compressor, and my pan. And it looks, if I swap back over here, it looks just a little bit different over here. I can kind of go between mixes and inputs. I can look at my DCAs, but let's say I'm looking at input 2, which is highlighted here. I have it following my console, so I have input 2 also selected. And I can go look at my preamp, my high pass filter, my gate, my insert, my parametric, and my compressor in the exact same order that they are on the channel strip. So let's say that I'm just starting out. I need to make sure, there are typically like 2 schools of thought when it comes to like preamp gain. And I'll be interested for those of you that are watching, please comment or message me about how you kind of prefer to do it. So typically people will either bring all of the faders up to unity and then mix on the preamps. I often see that in monitor situations when a desk is only running monitors. But the other school of thought is kind of to have all of your signal, all of your inputs hitting a certain level on the meter. I usually say and typically go with kissing yellow. If the signal is kissing yellow on the meter, that's usually plenty above the noise floor with plenty of headroom. I prefer the latter, where I'm trying to get all of my levels to end up at kind of the same place. And so I can even click on meters here, and it gives me a page where I can see all of my inputs, and I can quickly like kind of go through and adjust them all as necessary. So these are all hitting pretty close. I wonder if it will show the same colors. I think it does. I'm double checking. There's always a pause in the song. Okay, but this is a rule. If you need to do something, if you're about to show somebody something on like a multi-track or something, whenever you're about to do it, there will be a pause in the song, or it'll start repeating. Like it's inevitable. It's this weird thing that happens. Okay, I think we can see. Oh yeah, we can. All right, so let me show you the computer because it's a little bit easier. So you'll see here on the preamp, this is the kick. Because I put it in that order, so I know what it is. And it's hitting, definitely well into the yellow. If I go to input 2, and you can see it kind of highlight green down here at the bottom, it's definitely getting it's a pretty good level. That's a little bit warmer. You can kind of see, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect as long as we're not clipping. That's the biggest point, is no clippies. Okay, so for quickness's sake, well, actually not for quickness's sake. Let's go this way. I'm doing these things in order of literally how I would, again, like if I'm walking up to the console. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got my signal flowing. So that was the first part. I'm getting multi-tracks in, or maybe that's just plugging in the cables at a service or a show, and making sure like, yep, things are coming in. The very next thing you do is setting your gain, because gain structure is so important. So I'm just going to kind of go through and make things are okay. My kick is a little bit hot, and I've got my preamp knob right here. It's a dedicated knob. And so I can sit here and actually play with it and how much juice I'm giving the signal for each one. So I'll go through and make sure nothing's clipping. Everything's kind of hidden, just kind of kissing yellow. I'm not going to be overly picky. I just want to make sure things are approximate. Especially if any of you guys have ever worked with musicians or are a musician yourself, we have to admit to ourselves that sometimes what we do in sound check is not how we actually play in real life. So
for sure that happens.
Looking at you, guitarists. So we just got to make sure that we, again, got plenty of headroom. I know for a fact that 25 and 26, the singers are super hot, because I remember mixing this. So I'm going to kind of nudge them down just a little bit. Looks like 23 and 24 are a stereo pair, but I'm only getting one side. So let's investigate that. I'll swap you over here so you guys can see. I should be getting it. I'm going to go up to setup. And there's like, what I love about, I'm going to like be preaching on this console for several times this evening, but something I really love about the SQ consoles is that there's so much power in such a small footprint. This is the SQ5, which is the smallest footprint of the SQ series, but there's also an SQ6 and an SQ7. What's really cool about the SQ series, and also the D-Live series actually, is that all of the processing power is exactly the same. Regardless if you get the 5 or 6 or 7, you have 48 processable inputs on the SQ series. Even if you get the giant one with more faders and some extra encoders that you can program, it still is able to process 48 channels. Same with the D-Live. So you don't have to worry about, is this the same number of channels? It's more like, you know, what kind of a footprint are you looking to have? I chose the SQ5 because it's nice and small and I can have my like 4 consoles out at one time. I also have the CTI 1500, which is our smallest in footprint D-Live, but it still processes 128 inputs. Like, even though it's literally smaller than this, it's actually lighter than this. It's made for taking like as a carry-on. It actually weighs less than 50 pounds in its case, like with cards and everything. Anyways,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I love the SQ series, and we can do so much, and like truly way more than I can cover like in this like one evening thing. Like there's always something new to learn. But I can go in here, easily change things around. Like right now I need to figure out, I'm only getting, if I go back here, inputs 23 and 24, which I know may be a tad hard to see. I'm only getting one side. And I got to figure out why, because I'm sending it. So why aren't I looking at it? So we're going to go to setup audio. Maybe it's mixer config. Yeah, mixer config. I'm going to deselect that. It was something I did last on this console was to make that stereo. So I'm going to hit apply. And now if I go back to my IO page where I patched this bad boy. All right, everything looks good there. Okay. There we go. That looks better. Okay. So going back to making sure all of my gain is correct. So everything looks good. I'm not clipping on anything. And again, that's the key point here. All of that looks good. All right, cool beans. So the next thing I would do would be to set all the high pass filters. That's just always a really good, set your gain, and then you set your high pass filters. The reason we set our high pass filters first is because low end tends to build up really easily, overpower things. And maybe more pointedly is that a lot of instruments aren't going to have the super, super low frequencies. Like somebody singing is likely not going to have 100 hertz in their voice. If there is any, it's going to be like rumble from the microphone or rumble from the stage or vibrations on the floor. And we want to try to get rid of that as much as we can and only have the really low end where we need it. So ideally, the best way to do this, let me see if this is going to cause any explosions. Can you talk a little, Angie, for me?
Yeah, I'm trying to get like, there we go. So I can see and read. All right, can you hear me?
I can, and you can still hear me, right?
Yes.
All right. I popped out my headphones because what I'm afraid to do is play anything out loud. So I'm going to pop my headphone in here. So I'm able to hear it in one of my ears. And this is also one of the opportunities that is really good to have headphones, is because I can sit here and hit my PAFL buttons, PAFL. It's a pre or after fader level. And we actually let you change how you listen to things. By default, you can kind of think of it like a solo button on some other consoles. Unlike in Studio World, like in Pro Tools, when you hit solo, it's destructive in that way, where it essentially mutes everything else, right?
Right.
What this will not do is solo that one channel in like the master outputs. So when I hit this solo button, this PAFL button, it's only soloing it in my ears, in my headphone input right here.
Cool.
Whatever's happening in the master, like in the speakers, that's not happening. Nice. There's another function called solo in place that does that. And it's like when consoles do have solo in place, which many do, it's like you have to be like they like really check, like you really mean to do this because you are about to change what's happening. But here on the PAFL bus, like we're well and good. So maybe I want to, like, I guess I don't even really have names on these yet, right? For ease, before we even hit the high pass filter, normally when you're walking up to a console or it's your first show or you're building something, you're going to have like the input sheet, and you may build little pieces of this. When I'm starting from scratch, I'm definitely naming things first. I happen to know what these inputs are. I'm staring at them on my computer. But for today, we'll quickly just kind of throw them in. So I can just tap on the name here, and I'll show you that again. So I'm looking at this signal chain, this kind of bird's eye view of the first 8 inputs. If I go to input 9, it kind of shifts the screen over. And you can see it kind of highlights green what I'm looking at. Also, you're getting like a really great view of my water bottle. Sorry about that. Okay, so we'll hit 1, and all I have to do is tap kind of the little name banner, and I can change colors easily here, or I can go back to naming things. So we know this is kick, right? So kick, however you like, whatever your technique for naming is, that's totally fine. And let's make all of the drums. What's your favorite color here, Angie?
Let's go with that red.
All right, red. Now I'll hit apply. And so now it says kick and it's red.
Very cool.
And then I can just hit select, and it won't exit out of the window. It'll allow me to like really quickly go and name things. I'm actually going to I need to do kick in because I have 2 kicks. Kick in, and I'll do kick out. Kick out. Make it red. And let's see, I know we had a snare, so I'll do snare. Usually I just like leave out the vowels. Like as long as you know what you're, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you can read it, that's fine. Apply.
I love it. I do that all the time.
Whoopsies. I hit exit. Stop that. There we go. Snare bottom. Red. Apply. And then I think we had rack toms. So I'll just do toms. Red. And then we had a floor. Floor. I'm hoping these are all right. Oh, see, nope, I missed hat. That's what I get. That's my own fault. Hat. No worries here. Apply. Then we'll do toms. Then I'll do floor. Apply.
Yay.
Then we had drums close and far. So I'll do close, far, and then I believe I had a room. So we'll say room, but let me not get ahead of myself here. Okay. Let's see here. We'll do close left. Then we'll do close right. Far left. Far right. And I'll gang these together here in just a second. Far right, make it red. Close, far, and then room left, room right. Then we've got bass. So we've got 2 basses here. Let's do, I'm a bass player and I like blue, so we'll go with that. Bass DI. Then we have a bass amp.
How long have you been playing bass, Samantha?
Oh goodness, a long time. Let's see, I'm 28 and I started playing bass probably in the 6th or 7th grade. So amazing. Yeah, a very long time.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started on violin. I did orchestra for many years. I started on violin, then I picked up bass, and then I did bass for like the whole of junior high and then all of high school. And then I picked up cello at some point. I did jazz and theory and all that other good stuff.
Very cool. Which bass do you play? Like what's your rig?
I don't have I have an amp head, a PV Firebase amp head over there, and I have a red PV bass just out of frame over here. Maybe I'll whip it out later, but
very cool.
I haven't had an amp or rather a cabinet in a while. I've gotten really bad. I need to play more. I keep meaning to play more.
Yeah, it's all of us.
All right. And then we have, this is guitar 1. And then I have to go to my second layer, guitar 2. And then I have my horns. I'm actually going to hit Paffle so I can hear this. You guys can't hear it, but I can hear it. That is definitely a trumpet. So we'll do trumpet. Let's do yellow. And I bet this sounds like a trombone. And then what's the last one? Trumpet. Okay. This. There we go. Then we've got keys and we've got the vocals, and that's it. This is actually a Leslie. That's cool. Leslie. Keys. We'll do Leslie bottom. I'm going to purposely do these out of order. Leslie bottom. Then we have this vocalist. Her name is Erica, which is my wife's name. So we'll stick that in there. And then the other guy's name is Mike. He's the main vocalist. Pop, pop. Okay. Let's change their colors. Let's do vocals in white. Keys. Let's do, I don't think we did pink yet. We'll just slap that. Okay. So let's say we've got all of these kind of done, and let me make myself a little larger. There we go. So we've got all these labeled, and let's say maybe I don't like the order. I want to change things up, or I want to split things differently amongst the layers. Luckily, we can, nothing is fixed here. On some digital consoles that shall not be named, you're kind of like stuck with how they are, but we can move everything around. So if I go to Setup, Surface, Strip Assign, I can actually change where everything is. So I will hit A, my A layer, and I can actually scroll through here and see all 16 inputs. And I, of course, like my drums and my bass on 1, but I have this one guitar hanging on, and I'm just going to kind of drag it up, and it takes it off. And you can see here now I don't have one. I could drag another one on there and it lights back up, or I can take it off and it's gone. So I've got just my drums and my bass here. And now I need to make some more space. So I've got all the way through 32 here, but I don't have 32 channels. So just to make my life easier, I'm just going to remove these. It's kind of fun to watch them disappear. And let's move some things around. Let's do the vocalists, and I can kind of just lift it up and move it over here. There we go. Let's bump them over one more time. We'll bump these over. And so I put these out of order intentionally. So I've got this Leslie bottom and these keys by each other, but I don't, you know, I want them to actually be next to each other. So I'll put my keys right here, and I need to go find my Leslie bottom. So I can just go over here and find the channel that I have labeled Leslie bottom. And then I can move these. Got my horns, and move my guitar right here. Guitar 2. So now I've got guitars. I've got an open channel. Because the actual like faders themselves aren't stuck any place, I can move things around and have them where I want. So, you know, on SQs, we've got 4 different effects engines that we can, well, really we have 8 engines, but 4 kind of traditional effects. And then we have 4 racks where we can put things we want to have as inserts. So maybe I want to, you know, I'm thinking way ahead. Again, when I'm walking up to a console, the effects are like literally the last thing that I think about. But for right now, you know, as I'm setting up my console, maybe I want to do something particular with it. So maybe I've got this 3rd scene here where I want to move some things around. So I can go back to my setup, and I'm on my C layer here. And so you'll see up here in the top right, I've got a few choices. I have IP, which stands for input, and then I have effects, mix, and DCA/MIDI. I've already set up my inputs, but now I want to maybe change or place my effects someplace. So here, actually on this layer, I happen to have my effects returns. So this is basically the output of the effects sitting right here. And I can rename them if I'd like to. Like for my effects, I'll usually set them up on the SQ. I will do an instrument verb, a vocal delay, and I've been really into doing a vocal chorus lately. So I'll usually have those be my 4 effects racks. And I may do like, we'll go through all the different extra stuff you can put in the racks here in a minute. But for right now, you know, again, all for the sake of kind of cleaning things up, I'm not using these channels. So I'm just going to kind of flick them away so I don't have to look at them. Doesn't mean that they're not there or they're not running the audio. They absolutely are. I just don't need to look at them. So I'm going to flick them away, and now I don't need to. So another big one is mixes. So we're talking about auxes, matrices, our main, left, right, and those are big ones. So auxes, or for a lot of people, they could be like stream mixes, or mixes for monitors are a really big one. And what's really cool about the SQ series is that I've actually got them kind of all down the line here. So as we're looking at it now, this is just, you know, this is just my my main mix here, and I'll push these up so you can kind of see them. But as soon as I hit one of these side buttons, I'm changing the mix that I'm actually affecting. So if I hit mix 1, now I'm looking at, okay, what is aux 1 doing? This is my aux 2 mix. So I can sit here and say, that's that. And I go to aux 2 and I can do something different. And I've also got my effects engines right here where I can say, okay, well, what do I want to send to effect 1? I can click that and literally decide how much of each input I want to go to that effect on the fader. And as soon as I deselect it, I'm back on my main mix. So let's say that this is all set up. I can change things around. It's always like fun to like click all these buttons, and having motorized faders is fun. And I don't take that for granted because we used to have digital consoles that did not have that. So I want to, one of my favorite little doodads here. And let me adjust my camera so you guys can see this for a second. Alrighty, you guys see that? Okay. So we have these little buttons here on the side. We've got buttons all over the place that do like very intentional, amazing things. So we have this little reset button where if I hold it, I can reset certain channels or do different things. The cool thing is when we're resetting faders, and I'll even go to this one. So I can hit reset, and while I'm holding it, I can touch the top of these faders and it will take them all to 0. Or if I touch them on the bottom, it'll take them all to unity. And I don't think enough people play with that. I like when I first played with the SQ and I realized like that you could do that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing in the world. Like that I could just hold reset and move all the faders down. I had a good time. So, okay, let me move this back down so you guys can see. There we go. I even scooched it up a little bit. Angie, can you see the screen a little bit better now? Angie may be doing something. So I think that should be better. It looks like it's a little bit better on my screen. I will actually adjust my brightness here. Where you hide it? There you go. Touch screen. Okay. I think the guys should be able to see that better. All right. So let's say, again, we've done all this. I've labeled everything. The first thing I want to do is adjust my high pass filter. So we have a dedicated button. If I wanted to, I could hit the little in and you can see this block actually turn on because that's what I have selected. And I can adjust it and it will actually tell me what frequency it's at. So, you know, this is 120. This is a kick. So I'd probably have it at, depending on if I wanted the kick drum to sit lower than the bass or have it sit on in higher than the bass. That's personal preference. But maybe I set it at, you know, 60 and I can go to the next channel on, and I want to set that at 24. But my snare, there's not a lot of low end in that. So I'm going to go ahead and I may be like paffling this the whole time to make sure that while I'm adjusting my high pass filter, I'm not actually taking away from the channel. And that's really, really important. You can't just go like slapping things in and not listening to them. So I can paffle this and say, I can actually turn up. If I wanted to actually click on it, I could make this really big so I could see the full kind of logarithmic graph that we're sort of used to looking at with parametric EQ. And as I adjust that, you can see. And so I can listen to this in my ear. I can change the slope, which is super fun. So maybe I want an 18 decibel Butterworth. That's fine. That just means it's a little bit steeper. And something that's always important is A-Bing. So if you make a really big adjustment, it's really important to just sit here and kind of turn it off and turn it back on, sometimes with your eyes closed, just to make sure that you are not accidentally, it's easy for our minds to like trick ourselves into thinking we're doing something when we've actually made it worse. So turn it on. Yep, that's good. This is a snare bottom, so that's where all that's where the actual snare is. And so it's going to be a lot of crack and not a lot of low end. So fine with going a little bit higher. Hat again is not going to have very much low end. Then I can go to toms. This may have some more low end. It defaults to 100 Hertz, I believe, when you start it up, which is definitely a good place to start. So I can just kind of pop these in. My floor, I'm going to have way lower. Have my close. Have my far. Have my room. And I can just really quickly like just paffle these and make sure these are all set correctly. Got a bass. I want my bass to sit really low in this. That's just my flavor recently. So I'll have that set super low. Bass amp. Have that set really low again. Go through. And again, I can just, maybe I want to just have it be the same. Or I can do copy. And it says I can copy high pass filter guitar too. That's what's kind of fun about the buttons that are just out of shot now, where the reset, paste, and copy buttons are right here. And I can actually hit copy and the screen will say copy up here. And I can hit a specific thing, like I hit my high pass filter button and it says it copied it. So I can hold down paste and now I can paste it to bone, paste it into trumpet, paste, 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 paste. And nice and easy. Turn that on. I'll copy this. Paste it everywhere. Now if I go through here, they're all on and they're all set. Nice and easy and fast, which is good. So turn that down a little bit. So after you get that, you can always, let's go back over here. I've got all my channels. So after we got the high pass filter set, maybe we're ready to do some fader mixing and things like that. And we certainly can, but I'd kind of like to show you guys around a little bit more on some of these controls. So if I go to parametric, which is likely to be your next kind of pit stop. And you can see here, we've got a nice little RTA going. For those of you that do want the visual feedback, don't use this as a crutch by any means, but having the RTA like is nice. It's good to have on our parametric. But again, don't use it as a crutch. Don't think just because you're seeing it on the parametric, you're seeing it on this RTA means that it like needs addressing. Like, first of all, not everything needs to be flat. Like we're looking at the RTA for my kick in, like maybe that's exactly what I want it to look like. More importantly, I should be listening to it while I'm making these adjustments. So you can see here, so we've got the high pass filter knob, but then on this side, I've got my EQ dedicated knobs. So I can sit here and adjust the gain of the frequency I'm on, and I can do the band selection right here. So I can do my high frequency, high mids, and low frequencies. So maybe I wanted to adjust this one and adjust that. I can adjust the width very easily or adjust the frequency. And of course, I can always like click on any individual item and you'll see that this light turned on because now I can control it with this little knob. Sometimes when I'm going really, really fast, I don't think to grab these knobs. I immediately go to touch the thing I want to change and then use the knob to actually change that thing. Sometimes I'm not thinking straight. So we've got these dedicated knobs. Then over here, we've got our gate and our compressor kind of, and our pan controls. So if I go out of this and we will go look at, you can see the, well, let me go ahead and open up the gate. So I can click on the gate and actually see what's happening. And I can go as easy as, so it's not in right now, so I can hit in. And we have a 10-second histogram on here, which I stinking love. It's on both of our dynamics processors, both the gate and the compressor. And it lets me know what the gate or the compressor has been doing for the last 10 seconds. And like, that's really valuable information because you can't be everywhere at once. So sometimes it's good to have this view into the past, as it were. So, and you can see here, I can turn my gate or put it in or out really easily with this button. And this will adjust the threshold. There's even a little LED here to let me know when I have hit the threshold. And you'll see when this kick is hitting it, it actually lights up. And same for my compressor. I can hit in, we'll look at this, and I can adjust my threshold. For those of you that don't know, with dynamics processing, particularly gates, the threshold, you like live and die by the threshold, which is why we've got these nice dedicated knobs for them so that you can easily reach for them and adjust them as necessary. And you can see as this compressor is compressing, I'm getting really nice visual feedback for when I need it for the last 10 seconds. So we can also change all of these things about it where we can have sidechain compression already built in. I can change it between RMS or peak, or in layman's terms, I can change it whether I'm compressing the average level or the peak level. I can adjust the attack or how quickly the compressor is starting to compress after it goes over the threshold. I have the release, how long it takes to release it after it's dropped underneath the threshold. The ratio, how many decibels it will compress per 1 decibel it is over the threshold. So this is set automatically to 3:1. So for every 1 decibel the signal goes over the threshold, it's going to squash it by 3. Then we have the threshold itself, which is going to be, hey, at what point do you want me to start squishing this? And the gain, and sometimes it's called makeup gain on some consoles or some programs. And that's basically if I'm using the compressor to squash the signal some, I may need to juice it up a little bit to get it back to its original level, but more consistent. And that's where I can do the makeup gain. I also have the option to do dry or wet. So I can actually blend the uncompressed signal with the compressed signal It's automatically on fully wet because it's under the assumption if you're compressing this, you're doing it intentionally and on purpose. But here we can say, all right, well, you have the compressed one, but would you like to mix in some of the original? And that's actually, I believe it's called New York compression in the studio world, where you'll have one input that is uncompressed and one input that is very, very compressed. And here you can achieve that with a single channel. So you don't have to burn one of your channels if you don't want to, which again is very handy. So we've got all these nice knobs. I've got my panning, and this may be a little bit hard to see, but my pan indicator, New York parallel. Thank you, Sean. Yes. And I can adjust this. You know, this is my kick, so I would never actually pan this, but I can swing this, and not only am I getting visual feedback with my LEDs, but I can also see it here in the corner on my screen. And it's nice. There we go. So we've got that. And again, this is our knob that will, you know, whatever you select, it will change for you. So if I, you know, highlight the delay, the input delay, and I can start doing this, and I can start adjusting the delay on this particular input, or I can go to this, my digital trim, and adjust it there. I can also do, and this is, I guess I should back up and tell you guys that if I'm here looking at my kind of channel strip bird's eye view, if I click on the preamp section, that's where I can see if I have, if this is plugged into a socket like an XLR, I'll have gain, I'll have phantom power available. I can repatch just this one input if I want, rather than going to the digital patch. Kind of traditional view. I can, again, adjust my input delay if I want to. It's a very popular kind of technique, especially with drums, to delay certain inputs of the drums to match them all together so that they sync better. Again, that's going down a whole rabbit hole that I won't today, but that is a thing. And I got my digital trim and my polarity switch if I want one. Also, we've got our insert. I think that's the only block I haven't selected is my insert block. So I can, if I want, send this out someplace, you know, outside of the console, or I can go to my effects rack and put something in. So maybe, one thing I super like. Okay, so we've got nothing is assigned here. If I hit library, I get a nice little selection. The Sub-Harmonics is like really fun to play with. I will... and hopefully you guys can see me okay. I'm not cutting off my face or anything. Let's see here. I will move my face up just a tad. That's fine. There we go. That way when I'm slouching, you guys can see me. This Sub-Harmonics plugin is super fun. And luckily Allen Heath makes a couple of extra plugins. I happen to get the Sub-Harmonic one for free, not because I work there, but because it was available when it came out. If you registered, you could get it. And so basically this would allow me to, if this like kick, for instance, if this kick was like kind of lacking, it didn't have a lot of meat to it, it wasn't very much low end, I can like select the Sub-Harmonics, Lost Fundamental, and then I get this Hyper Bass plugin where I can really give it a lot of oomph. And so maybe I want to insert this on my channel. I've got that set up. So I'm on my kick in, I'm in my insert page, and I can assign it. So I can send it out on a local socket through my S-Link or through the USB, but I want to go to an effects unit, and I want it to go to effect number 5. That is where we put it. And I will hit apply, and now it is going there. So if I go back to my effects, now I can actually see I'm getting the signal in here. So that is a really fun way. And I can also quickly unassign it if I need it, or pop it in and out if I want to A/B it, which is always a good idea. So we've got all this, and then let me just kind of jump around a little bit here. So this is our processing page, which is what we've been looking at a lot. But now I've also got routing, which opens up a whole host of other control. So I can, as you can see, I can adjust the direct out for monitors or for specific kinds of recordings. A direct out is sometimes super handy. So I can go here and say, click my pick point, basically, this is automatically set as post compressor, and I can have it follow my mutes or my DCAs and things like that. I can do my DCA assignments and my mute groups. Something that is also really cool just about SQ. I'm sorry that I love this console and I'm saying a lot of things are cool, but I'm not sorry. So if I go to setup mixer config, I can go to bus config, and similarly to our Avantis and our DLive systems, I can kind of change how the bus configuration works depending on my needs. So maybe I don't need 12 auxes. I can actually take that down. Maybe I only need 6. And I actually want 6. Let's do 6. Let's do 6 each. I can have 6 groups and 6 auxes. I'll hit apply. Yes, I am sure. And it will change that. Awesome. And let's see if I've got these hiding someplace. Oh yeah, there we go. We'll go back over here. So I've got 8 DCAs, which are going to be those digitally controlled. It's not amplifiers, but they're essentially digital VCAs. It's kind of like a remote fader. And then I've also got mute groups that I can assign this to. I can do my main sends here. So I can kind of alternatively change how things are being sent, either to my main fader, my auxes, or I can do it here and turn them on in certain groups. So if I wanted to do group processing, I could do that. I can also change how they're being sent to my effects as well from here. There's like always multiple ways to do things. So depending on how you like working on the console, you can do it. You kind of like find your workflow and go with that. Then we've got our effect sends. You can change things between pre and post, and you can do all sorts of stuff. So that's routing. So processing and routing are very like big ones. Routing, particularly as you're getting the console set up, processing basically through the whole show. Then I've got our meters page, so I can look at the inputs. I can look at how our effects are, metering. Look at my mixes, my groups, my auxes, my matrices, and my main left right. My USB meters. I've got an RTA, and I can choose the source if I'd like. And I can change kind of like the metering ballistics, if you will, where I can actually change the color of stuff, and orange, yellow, orange, and I can change at what level those are being triggered. Usually the default is fine, but if you really want to go in there and change some stuff, you can. Options are always good. We've kind of seen the effects page where we get 4 kind of normal effects, like where you would put reverb and delay, where you are sending an entire input over to an effect unit. And then we have 4 slots for things that you would use as inserts. So I've got this hypo bass going. Then we've got our scenes page. And here's where you can save. They're typically done by location. On the SQ series, that's probably how you would do them. We do have things called recall filters where you can allow or block certain functions from happening between scenes, which opens up some possibilities as what you do want to change when you select it or what you don't want to change. But the scenes are normally like, I've got some random ones here. Like I have one called tie lines that I have set up specifically pretty much just to throw audio from this console to my DLive or my Avantis console. Because SQ has that USB-B on the back, it's really easy for me to hook it up to my computer without any extra software like or Dante or Waves. I can just throw it in here. And then with a single cat cable, I can throw it to our other consoles. So I've got tie lines there. I've also got one for studio when I'm doing like more broadcast stuff. And different churches, I'll do different scenes. Like if somebody asks me a very specific question, sometimes I need to go in here and like double check, like, yes, you can do this. This is possible. This is a good answer for you. And so I'll make random scenes for that. So that's my scenes. And I've also got my setup, which is where really, if you want to know how any console kind of works, personally, I dive straight for the config or the setup. To see like what can I possibly change. That's how I learn equipment very quickly and intimately, is by going into the settings and like basically trying to break something. So I can adjust my, my PAFL bus or my solo bus. I can change how things are added. I can add delays to them. So much of I can adjust my talkback, where my talkback mic is going. Sometimes you're at front of house or at monitors and you need to say something to somebody on stage, talkback mic. I've also got a signal generator if you need to do some, test some wedges or you need to test some equipment. Pink noise is great. We can change our sync. And I actually need to, that's good, my internal. If I were throwing this audio over to my Avantis would need to sync to its S-Link port to my SQ5, but that's a different conversation. I've also got an IO port. I have a Dante card in there currently. And my USB, where earlier I changed it between 96 and 48. Then I've got my Surface where I can do my strip assign. I can do my soft control. So that would be all of these kind of soft keys right here. I've got a couple right here. This is a global tap tempo. That's another thing that's kind of different, just a little bit between SQ5, 6, and 7 is that you get more soft keys. And I believe it's on the 7, you get some soft encoders where you can do stuff. But it's as easy as just like clicking on it. And so this is my global tap tempo. If I wanted to change that, I could do, you get lots of options. We have automatic mic mixing. I could turn that on. That's not for music, by the way. Don't do automatic mic mixing for music. You'll have a bad time. I can do a channel mute if I had one specific channel that I always wanted to have really fast access to, like maybe the pastor or the MC, and just really quickly be able to pop them on and off without having to go through any layers. I can keep that on a soft key. Or I can do a channel PAFL. Again, there's something I always want to be looking after. Again, I want to really listen to the main speaker's mic at any given second without having to think or look for it. That's what that soft key is for. We've also got DCA mutes where, again, if you just want something really quick access, to send a specific MIDI note, to mute a group, clear my PAFL, we really give you so many options so that depending on how you like to control your Surface, like there's usually a way to do it on here. So we'll do that. We also allow foot switch plugin on here. It could do any number of things. I need to like get one in here so I can really play with it. But again, similar kind of functionality. It's like you want to be able to hit a foot switch and have something happen. And we've also got our Surface preferences, which is where you can adjust the light bar coloring, the brightness. I can adjust the selection, the delay units, all kinds of good stuff. Then we've got mixer config, which is, all of that good stuff where I can change my input stereos, my mix stereos, like if I wanted stereo groups or mono groups, and I can just select those and I can hit apply. My auxes, stereo or mono, depending on what we needed, and same for matrices. You get 3 matrices on here no matter what. They're just kind of there for you. And being able to switch those between stereo and mono are really great. They don't eat at anything else. We've got a bus config, which we ran earlier, and we can change the role. So basically, if I wanted to have one SQ5 doing one thing and another doing something else, I can easily kind of throw things into it, the standard like front of house purpose, or I can kind of help set it up automatically as a monitor desk. We've got ganging. So for those of you that don't know, so there's a difference between like a stereo input and ganging channels. In Pro Tools terms, ganging is like grouping. So maybe I wanted to gang a couple of channels together that may or may not be related. Like maybe I always want my kick in and my kick out. I want their faders to always be linked together. So I can actually drag these in and select what they actually have in common. So if I just do fader, and I'll hit apply. Oopsies, there we go. And so now, I guess that's a little hard to see, isn't it? There we go. So now when I'm adjusting this, they are linked together. But I can adjust the trim, make the filters gang, the gate, parametric compressors direct out. I can really pick and choose what I want to match. I prefer ganging. I prefer ganging over like a traditional like stereo pair, because when I do ganging, I can make it like so specific. Like I don't want my EQs to be the same, but I do want my faders and my compressor to be the same, or I want my trim to be the same, and my delay to be the same, but nothing else. And I can pick and choose that, as well as earlier I mentioned, like typically when you do the stereo pair, it goes odd even, and maybe I don't want to set it up like that. So I will gang them together instead. And it also gives me the chance to like really go pan crazy. When you make something a stereo pair on the console, like at the input, you're making it a stereo input rather than 2 mono. It automatically pans hard left, right, which is extremely handy. But sometimes if I want it to be a little bit closer in, or I want to do something weirder with it, I will just gang them together. That way I can, again, have that extra level of control. The name of the game is having options and being able to do what we want and what we need to get the job done. So we have like network setup, which is, the normal stuff. That's how I'm able to connect my computer to my SQ5, is over my network. My special audio network that I've got set up here. And then I've also got users. I've got a Jim Bob and a Susan here. But let me see if I can, there we go. A little too far, there we go. So you can have 10 users here, not including the admin. So like you could give certain people certain permissions, like a volunteer or somebody who's new at audio engineering, and you get it all set up and you kind of don't want them to get themselves into trouble. So we use users, let them log in, and then we give them limited control. Like I only want them to be able to use the faders, or I only want them to be able to do the faders and the EQ, things like that, but don't let them change the IO or the configuration, stuff like that.
So you can do that at the same time, right? For the separate users?
Yeah, so
awesome.
I've got like Mixpad running on my computer. Like I could be logged in as admin over there, and like a volunteer's logged in on the console so that they've got something to physically touch, and let them kind of help things, and I might be supervising from far away, something like that.
That's
but
so
yes,
cool.
with Mixpad you can have more than one person going.
Very, very cool.
They've got our utility, which is always good, where we've got USB data and shows, stuff like that. SQ drive. We allow you to like record a stereo or a multi-track recording right to a USB like flash drive, right from the console, which is like, again, like super valuable, because you don't find that kind of, you don't find multi-tracking in really, really big consoles, and you don't find it in really, really small consoles. So if you just want to like really fire off a quick, if you don't even have the USB-B cable, you can just put your thumb drive in and record the multi-track on it. So easy. And here's our automatic mic mixer as well. So like for talking head stuff, or for sometimes for theater things, automatic mic mixing is a great option, where you can actually, and let me just, let me do some channels we're not using. Let's do 33, 34, and 35. There we go. Click. So I can also change what we've got going on here. So I can follow the fader, which would mean it was basically post fader. I just did one of my mini master classes on this, so I feel very well versed in automatic mic mixing. But basically I can have 2 different engines automatically mixing things, which is very handy, again, for talking heads or for theater style. It's not good for music, because automatic mic mixing is essentially either going to favor one input at a time or share gain between inputs. So that's, you don't want one person, you don't want one instrument playing loud, like significantly louder than the others in music. That doesn't make any sense. And then we've got our IO page. And this is also really powerful. So this is like, if you've used a digital patch bay in the past like 10 years, this is what it looks like for the most part. So I have my inputs, my outputs, and my tie lines For those of you that don't know what tie lines are, I had a scene I called tie lines. It's a way for us to throw audio without using any of the onboard processing on the console. So this is a 48 input console that I can process those inputs. And the reason I say that I discern it is because I can actually throw, up to 128 channels bidirectionally over tie lines, and it basically just circumvents all the processing, and it's like straight in from my Dante and straight out to my Avantis console, and I don't have to use any of my channels. It's just I'm using tie lines. So I've got my inputs, and I can change where they're being sourced from. Again, I've got my USB running here, and you have to click the little patch button so you don't, when I'm scrolling around, I'm not accidentally repatching things. Then I've got my outputs, so I can say where I want my talkback or my Paffle bus to go, where I want my rack effects to go, my mix outs or my direct outs. And I can change it with either my local outputs through S-Link, which is like our intelligent port. It will change sample rate and protocol within the Allen Heath ecosystem. It's very cool. Our IMEs, which are our personal monitoring. So if I had an IME system, it's like these little, it looks kind of like this, but this is an IP6, but it's close to that. It's the same size as it. If I had personal monitors, if I wanted to let my musicians kind of mix them to their own ears, I could patch which channels are going where here. Again, we got my USB, and I have my IO port, which it's letting me know I've got Dante plugged in. So if I wanted to send my inputs direct outs to Dante, I can do that. And I got my tie lines here. So we have lots of options. So is there anything in particular that you would like to see, Adi, or Sean? I saw that you were on here, or anybody. Oh, there's a lot more chat here than I saw. Anything that you guys would like to see? Soft encoder SQ7. Yes. Never be sorry about the SQ rack. Yes, it does, Sean. But yeah, there's so much to discover with this. And I feel like I've just barely started to scratch the surface, but I want to make sure I'm answering any questions or going over some things that people may be interested in. So does anybody have any questions thus far? I know this has been lots of information.
Yeah, kind of just still trying to take everything in, and then I'm going around to the groups and looking online right now. So
okay.
Yeah. Are we able to hear the tracks as well?
Not easily, no.
Not easily. Okay, never mind.
But we should plan to do that at some point. Just do like a straight mix thing, cool. Like kind of like how I did now, but like letting you guys hear while it's happening. That will take some finessing in the cable runs. Sure. But we could totally do that. I think that would be. Have you guys done that with the studio on the studio side, or
on
has it been like tours?
Side.
Like where somebody walks through and says like, this is how I would mix this.
Yeah, definitely not with the console, right? Like this though, like we're not live. So
see, we're coming up with lots of ideas here, just reasons for me to keep showing up. So
with Allen Heath. Love it. Let's see.
Yeah, I haven't been on the Facebook. I haven't seen it or anything. So
very cool. There's so much going on, and it's kind of amazing with the size of the console and how much you can do with it.
Yes. When we give like full-blown like tutorials on this, like it can take like all day to go through and show people how like powerful and capable this is, like really hit every single key. The UK team, I'm just a simple lady, part of the US team of Allen Heath USA. And so the UK team, Allen Heath there's a fella named Keith. He's a fantastic gent. There are lots of videos on the Allen and Heath YouTube page and the Allen and Heath Facebook page that you guys can go and watch, and like he'll like deep dive into stuff like how to connect the consoles, or have interviews with people who are using these for like broadcast. I've seen lots of people doing broadcast mixes with SQs because they're so like such a small footprint. This is a rack mountable. So we can put that in. It's easy to have like a full broadcast kit in a single rack, or having this run monitors or front house or both, or streaming. But there's lots and lots of videos. If you want to see even more, Keith is that there's great resources from them as well.
Awesome. Thank you. What is your favorite part about this feature?
My favorite part about the SQ5?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's hard. I guess my favorite part is that I've got USB-B. I've got the USB port. I also have my IO card slot in the back for things like Dante or Waves or Maddie. Plus I've got the Allen Heath ecosystem with like S-Link and our intelligent port and our different protocols. And so I'm able to like implement this so easily into already existing systems, or to augment systems with it, or Allen Heath ecosystems. So here I'll go so you can see me full screen. So I'm able to put my USB tracks from my computer in here, or record multi-tracks on my flash drive that I keep on my keys, and then send it out through Dante or through Maddie to the broadcast track. I just have so many ways that I can implement it easily, and it's got all the horsepower so it's not a problem. I can be something that's excellent about having all this FPGA technology, both in the SQs and the Avantis and the DLAB and our AHM processor, is that everything is phase coherent. And I believe even the Q doesn't have I don't think has FPGA, but it's also phase coherent, which means from the input to the output takes the same amount of time. It's all runs at 0.7 milliseconds, so that even if I'm adding in an insert, or I'm using my loss fundamental, or I'm doing my effects, or I'm doing group processing, it's all staying in time with each other. So I'm not getting this weird time smear on my mix, which can really degrade things. Sometimes it makes it better, but really complicate things. And so really, I know that was, I guess you could probably consider that more than one thing, but I just love the most that I've got. I'm not really like limited. I can put this in exactly where I need it to do exactly what I need. And I'm not concerned. Like it can handle it. The mix will stay coherent, and I can throw audio any which way, however I'd like.
Very, very cool. Awesome. Let's see. Sean, do you have any questions you'd like to ask? Quiet group.
Yeah, that's okay. A little quiet.
Yeah, and so many. I think there's so much to integrate as well. I'm just processing.
And for sure. And there's nothing like getting your hands on it yourself and playing with it. So if anybody watching this or listening, wants to get in touch with me, I can absolutely see if we can get like a demo set up near you, or if a local rep or a local dealer's got one that you can play with, because there's just there's no replacement for getting your hands on it yourself. So.
Absolutely. We definitely need to see if that's possible near Seattle, and we could go live at the same time.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
Really cool.
We could totally do that, or like do I know the Mix Like a Girl boot camp is virtual, but if we ever have the opportunity to do it in person, I know that we'd be super game to do that.
That would be awesome. Yeah. It'd be really cool to it could be, virtual classroom, and we could be going over the steps at the same time.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely. That's what I do. So I teach at a program that we started called Church Sound University, and that's with ProSound Web and all my editorial stuff. We started a program where I literally just fly around the country, and we set up 10 consoles, and just I teach about mixing and how to approach the board. I have several more hours, so I go pretty in depth with the console, but really just approaching mixes, period. And I do that. We talk about it, and they get lots of hands-on time for just that reason, because there's nothing like touching and breaking things. So
right, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. Well, very cool. Oh, and congratulations on the AES position as well. Saw that on your Facebook.
Thank you. Yeah, it was like a month ago, but first I think like somebody that I just added liked it, and then like a like storm came in. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm part of the education committee now, so
yeah, that's great.
Hoping to help other audio programs out there. So
yeah, definitely. Oh, I think that's great, and we're always, so happy to learn from you. You're such a great teacher. You go so in depth and are very clear. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm glad. Sometimes it feels like I'm just like I've been talking for 90 minutes, and I hope that people are getting some stuff. And audio is not something that you can learn in a day, and consoles are not often things you can learn in a day. So I hope this has just been like a really quick, like nice overview of everything in the console, and it at least intrigues people enough to want to go search for more. So.
Sorry, I had a puppy attack.
I mean, puppy attack.
She's a wild one. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. So are you available for questions after the fact as more people tune into the stream this afternoon and tonight, and then ask questions in the comments? We can get those to you.
Absolutely. Get those to me. And I'm on Facebook. You guys are welcome to add me. If you like view my profile, like I'm definitely the only one doing what I do. So, I can also, we can post my American Music and Sound email and my engineering email if you'd like. I'm very contactable, so no worries on that. For sure. You guys, I welcome questions fully, whether it be audio, generals, or something specific about an Allen Heath console, whatever you need, I try to help out when I can.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. And then as far as Instagram, can you drop your handle and then the Pro Sound Web as well?
Yeah, my handle across, I think almost, all social media is just Potter Audio. So if you can search me on there, you will find me. And you said Pro Sound Web. Yeah, all of my podcast is up on Pro Sound Web. My articles. If you go to Google and you type in Samantha Potter Audio, you'll find everything I've done. You can't leave off the audio because there was a Samantha Potter in round 3 of America's Next Top Model. So that's not going to get you. Luckily, that has completely blurred. So you have to be looking for me to find it. So yeah, Samantha Potter Audio, you'll find it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, awesome. Thanks so much for your time today. And we will be in touch with any questions, and we'll be in touch anyway, I'm sure. Would love to get a demo going.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I always appreciate, and I'm happy to do these. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Night, everyone.